hopefully this is working okay and everybody can hear me. Smashing. Well, today we have a new what's in the bag. Yeah, so what's in the bag live stream, which I think is a bit of fun. So I started this last night, moving some things around, and yeah, as you can tell, it's sort of pretty much, that's well solidified paint. It's no longer mobile. It's not moving around. So right for painting over. Several things at once. Yeah. So I was just putting some dull colours in and playing around with some shapes. Previously, I did have something different in the bag, and once it was on the painting, it looked like basically, yeah, like a poo bag after a dog walk. So I thought, no, we're not going to have that. I want something with a little bit of mystery, and something with a few clues in it, and something which is obviously not dog excrement. So that's something. Also, I've been having a play with changing up the. It's not always relevant in every painting, but I want to change the way the paint behaves in different places. I really want to get a difference between the way the paint looks where it's a bag and where it looks where it's paper background kind of thing. And yeah, so I've got some marble dust here. I've been using the oil, so I can change the what would you call it? Well, the consistency of the paint, the glossiness of the paint as well. So how shiny it is, how fluid it is, what kind of brush marks are useful for applying it. Now these are actually colours these are my starting colours. Not that important to keep, I don't think. So I might do a bit more scraping, clear the palette, but at the same time I sort of want to match what's here, because that's my starting point for each of these areas. That is completely dry. So I'm going to start off with a bit of mixing. No Graham this evening. He's on some kind of mystery trip. So yes, I look forward to hearing what that was all about. What have I got here to go with? So there are some colours I need to get more out of. There's some cobalt blue to go here, but my ultramarine's okay. I've got plenty of that. Let's make a space for that. Yeah, I ought to try and maintain the palette as I go along, but it can easily get away from you. So I'll be reloading the palette as I go along. I need some more white out. I'm going to use the last of this tube of mixing white. I've got another one in the cupboard. So yeah, my life, which is usually quite disorganized, has small pockets of order within it, and one of them is not running out of the paint that I need, and keeping the palette that I'm working from familiar and repeatable. That'll do for that. So yeah, so mixing white is one little step towards what I can do with the marble dust and the oil, in terms of it's a stiffer paint. You get it, you know, it's harder to move around, and it's got more filler in it as well, so it's got a lower pigment load, which means you can bung a whole load of it into something, and as I will, into this blue. And let's get a bit more of that. I've got this tube of cobalt blue hue, which I've been using up. When it comes to places where the blue is really strong or the color is really clear, I will probably be getting the expensive blues out, but only for a few little bits, not the whole lot. But I will need a sort of a bulk of color to start with. And no, the cap won't go on. Come on. There we are. And I'm going to need some more of this sort of violet colour as well. And they're not going to be the finished colours at any point, but let's get this blue mixed up for starters. It's going to need a bit of green into it. Let's put a bit of white in that just to... So I've got some rough idea of how much pigment I'm adding to any particular mix. Let me have green into there. So this should be quite a bright high chroma colour. And it is. There we go. I feel like I'm approaching the colour of the bag here. But it's also, that's dulled down, that's got a grey in it. So maybe I'll put this to one side. Yeah, I think I will. I'll take some more blue. A lump of that green. Do the same thing again and make a darker version. So this will become a new kind of core colour I can use to add to mixes. Yeah, that can go in front. And now I can make a grayer colour. Put some raw umber back on the palette. I'm off the burnt sienna for a bit. There's a nice, there's a nice grey. Tonally matches this pretty well. Not much difference. And I can add a bit of blue back into it. Yes, it's greener, but tone and chroma wise, which are the most important things at this stage, that's pretty good. I think I finished with some of these more ultramarine blue bits. So this isn't a perfect representation. That's a good starting point for a blue. I'll start with that. So yeah, remixing the previous palette so I can carry on where I left off from here. It's going to save me an awful lot of work of just sort of trying to guess the colours I want again, as if from scratch. So that would be helpful. Oh, messages already. I'm going to be getting up and down out of my chair, seeing who's here. Hello, Susan. Oh, well, I hope you're going somewhere nice. If you're at Gatwick, have a super trip. And thanks for tuning in, even if you're going to be interrupted by your journey. Okay, let's do some of that purpley colour. I mixed some of that yesterday. I'm not worried about the blue hanging around because it's sort of It will all get absorbed. That's too red. I was using ultramarine for that. It's a bit bluer. It's about a bit more like the right colour, but still quite a strong colour. So I've got this purpley colour in the background, and it is going to get brighter. So maybe I'll keep this as it is. It's close enough that I can sort of make judgments. Based on what comes next. I will be putting out a little bit of alizarin just to get that sort of nice crisp pinky purple colour I'm going to need later. But to begin with, this was perfectly suitable, and especially for a background where I don't want it to get too bright. That can go there, and that's interesting. What else? So I had this. I'm just going to. Don't need to keep that. I'm going to start again with the funny thing is that the bag is on a bag, so every now and again I'm going to be talking about what is basically some flat brown paper underneath, which I know is a bag. So I'm going to accidentally refer to that as the bag, and everyone's going to get very confused. So I'll try and remember to call it the paper. The colour of the paper underneath. It's going to be quite critical. I've got a ballpark of where the colours sit around for the blue there, so I can see how much lighter that needs to get. Start with some yellow ochre. So I'm nearly out of that now. I have to refresh that. And a few adjustments to that. Warm it up a bit. Put a bit of raw umber in it. Darken it down a bit. There you are. It's a certain amount lighter. I can make a lighter version of that as well, which will be a bit yellower too. So I'll prop that there for the moment. The new one will go next to it. I'll take a bit of this. The absolute last of the yellow ochre. A bit more white. There you are. That can go into it as well. And then there's a shadow version of that, which is again a bit more violet. I'm being quite careful with this raw umber because I'm at the stage where it's going to try its very best to introduce lumps into everything. That's a bit of yesterday's left over. This is all mixing white at the moment, so still in the deepest part of the shadow it's the same tone as this, and then it gets lighter from there. So what colour is it in the deepest shadow? And this has got lumps in it. That's going to be annoying. Oh well, Lucian Freud didn't care, why should I? No. There's a purpley shadow, and I'll do a slightly lighter version. I'll keep that middle colour there in the middle, which has got a little bit of this in it as well. I'll tell you, you should use that directly. Yeah, might do it. Might be a bit more orange than that. I'm not going to try and fuss about it too much right now. That's too red. Well, we'll see, won't we, when it goes on. So that's all the basic core colours I'm going to need. This is quite a simple picture in that respect, until I get to all the different things going on in the bag, and that's just going to be crazy. So yeah, this powder is sort of hanging around over there. I'm going to move it quite carefully. Yeah, a little bit of housework. Let's pop it down here. It can't cause any trouble. I can introduce it as I see fit later on. Now I used this to sort of thicken up and make a bit more matte all of the colors that are already on there, so I can add glossiness with the bag and keep that matteness with the paper and the background. So yeah, talking about those really deep colors, I'm going to want a bit of that, and you know, I'm going to have to try and keep them quite clean, so we'll do an actual good job of clearing space on the palette so it doesn't muddy everything. And I'm going to put in as a placeholder some of that really strong, intense color. Use a little bit of titanium white, a little bit of this cobalt, a bit of ultramarine. It's quite intense. There's a bit of that green comes out of the middle. That's pretty good as a color. We'll see how good a job it does. I can always sort of scrape it off and replace it with a more intense one later. I cleaned all my brushes and put them somewhere, and now I don't know. There we are. Right. So this is a placeholder. Is that dark enough? Guess we'll find out. It's going to go in here. I don't think it is dark enough. I think it needs to go darker than that. A bit more ultramarine, a bit more of the green. Scrape that off and let it get in the way. Let's try this and see if this does it more. There we go. That's more like it. Proper intense blue going in there. And I'm being quite sort of some close observation with the shapes, because you know there's only so much tidying up you can do with it later on. That also comes into here. So there's some soft edges, some things I'm not being overly fussy about, but generally I need to get into the sort of the scale of marks that I need to be making in order for them to behave themselves. So there's a bit. Where else is it? It's in the handles. So there's some. There are bits that are darker but aren't as intense in color, so I won't be putting those in just yet. I'm trying to look at the intensity of color rather than just the tonal value. Oh yeah, there's some in here. And this is where I have to sort of link some draw-in-g-ing. drawing. 'G-ing. 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 ' feels about right. Yeah. So again, the language of the bag is probably more important to the finished painting than all of this being accurate. But if I lose my place, I also sort of lose my grip on that language I'm trying to express. I'm pretty sure this has moved a bit overnight as well. And again, I'm not going for the very liquid paint yet because this is still like a ground that's going in. Now that's in there, I think I can do some shadows. This will be like a neighbor color. And again, I'm not getting very thick with it, but not dark enough. Okay. I'm going to some of that. I'm in brush mixes already. Let's pop a little bit of raw umber in there, just take the edge off. Yeah, it's more like it. Is that too green? No, I think it might be about right. Still want to think about the big shapes. I can see them probably more easily than you can on camera, the decisions I made yesterday. So some of this is okay. And again, not getting into the liquid paint yet. Bit of that bluer blue sneaking up in there and in here. What else? Oh yeah, so here we've got a couple of these shapes. Yeah, quite like the dry brush, but I don't think it's going to survive. I will end up going over that. Yeah, some dark shapes in here. So this first mark as it goes on sort of does have a crispness, and then as I move it around to find a shape, I'm losing that a bit. So I really want to be a bit more careful. Yeah. Okay, anywhere else with these? I've got that bit. There's a bit here. There's going to be lots I've missed, so I've got to keep these colours alive on the palette. Yeah, some in here. Some here as well. Oh, it switched itself off a bit early tonight. Wakey wakey. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and mix a darker shadow colour, which I'm going to use raw umber and this greeny blue. We should have something a lot more like like a black, but it's still got this bluey quality to it. I can put some of these shapes in. That's going to have a bit there. Yeah. Oh, I just polluted my previous colour. That was good. Maybe some in here. Maybe a little bit in there as well. Right, a bit there. I think I've got enough things to sort of for me to navigate my way around the image now. So perhaps I could sort of relax a bit after this. There's a few darks in there. A little bit in here. A few softer edges here and there. What's this doing? Yes. So right, so I've got that shadow. Right, this is a halfway colour. It's a darker blue. Oh, there you are. That's my 10-minute attention span used up. Yeah, some sort of diagonal darks here. The lights that go on top will pull those out. Some darks in here. The side of that. Now I'm being lazy with the colour mixing, but I feel like I need to get a bit more drawing in. Dark a bit on the inside. So these really subtle changes are already sort of making themselves known. Before I get too caught up in them, I need to just make a more ultramarine version. Pull out. Oh, where's that go? Okay, that's interesting. I think I've moved that across. There's this here and this. There's two little shapes go in there. And this one comes in here. And what's this? This little diagonal, that bit goes across. Okay, I think I've got enough to be going on with. So I've got some clearer shapes now. It's going to look better on the screen at the moment than it does in real life. I'm going to have a little look. Tease myself. Yeah. So while it's small and nondescript, the bagness should be appearing already. Where's this? More of this greeny one. Okay, that's there. So then this is going to go in here. I'm just going to move across a bit. I think I'll be okay with that. So I'm already getting quite confused with my colours now, but that's okay. I'm going to tidy them up a little bit. There's this more ultramarine black on this side. Should be better if that went on the other side, actually. Let's put that there. More greeny black this side. This can go back to being okay. So now we can go into some of these sort of greener shadows. We'll start with the darker ones that don't quite make the grade for being official shadows. Or like the really deep ones. Yeah, there's a bit more in here and along that edge. What's in here? There's a lighter bit in the middle. That's going to need more colour in it. That's an interesting thing to find already. Okay, some of these shapes. Oh yeah, and here. It's too dark, I think. Yeah, the lighter colour to go on top. That one was over here. A bit of this. There's a triangle of that there, which I did spot yesterday, and that kind of made its way in. What's this doing now? Does it match this? It's slightly lighter. Maybe it's barely changed. Hard to tell. Yeah. Okay. Feel like I've got to start here. Let's go back to some of this marine blue. Again, not dark enough. Let's go again. In there. Yes, there's definitely going to try and get some stronger colour in that. Where else is there some shadow? Actually, a little bit around that edge there. Quite a bit of dark in here. So I'm avoiding anything too oily at the moment, but I think this is where I'm going to have to start to add it. And get a bit more liquid. And then when I work the lights in, hopefully it will bring out some sort of some plastic bagness. There we are. Where else is that going to go? That'll be a bit glossier. Pop a little bit in there. Yes, no. More or less. Just pushing and pulling. That whole shadow moves across a bit. When the lights go on, it will make sense of it. About in here. Oh, right, okay, I'm hitting a bit of a wall here because I'm going to need some of these lighter green colours for the bag. And before I do that, I will try out a few of the colours for the paper underneath. So I mixed this shadow colour. Not really much different to what I put on there before. It's going to come around, give me that dark edge. And then it will brighten up a little bit. In fact, I'll brighten up this much. Maybe that's too much. Okay, where else does that go? Have a dark edge under there. Thank you very much. Okay, if I go across to my lighter colour, you should see a better contrast with that. I think we do. Hang on, I might even flatten that out with a palette knife a little bit as well. If I can get some extra paperiness onto it. If I can load the paint in the right places for the paper to describe itself. Yeah, there's a little hint of it over there, so I'll pop a bit of that in. A few little bright highlights across here, see if they do anything. No, not much. Could use a spatula. Just keep thinking paper. Yeah, bit of paperiness. We'll come more into that later. Background colour as well. Made that a bit brighter. It's the same brush, see what I can get away with. I want it to be a bit. Actually, do I want it to be darker and duller? So if the light's meant to be travelling across to there. So I'll put some more light in that as I go. So now this sort of, I mean, I haven't even got the brightest blues in there, but this looks a lot pinker now because of that. So I'll do a kind of a halo with this. Accentuate some of the edges where I want them to be accentuated. Especially around the handles of the bag. Again, I sometimes talk about how there's almost like a plan in your head for doing a painting, and if you do half of it, that's actually all of it. Because a lot of those things which seem really important just kind of appear and are dealt with at earlier stages of the painting, and it's possible some of that's going on now. Yeah. Let's go one brighter. A little bit of yellowness in there as well. And a tiny, tiny little bit of marble dust, just to make it a little bit more clayey. This is going to take a certain amount of effort to apply now because of the change in thickness. I'll start here, work into the older colour. Where I need it to. Should be able to get a proper solid mark there. There we are. There's a little bit of colour come from behind. This flat folded top. Of the handle. Okay, sort of starting to that halo effect is quite nice. It sort of focuses your attention, so I don't necessarily want to get those lights all the way out to the edge. I might push them out a bit further. There we go. Oh, a bit of extra light just in here. Just do that with a brush mix. Just in there. Suitably vague. Let's get a little bit of that, maybe somewhere in between, just to pull that shape out, that little shoulder. That should do it. Oh, there you are. Crunch my bones and have a little pause now, I think. Have a little think about what it is I've done. Ooh. There you go. So I don't know if anyone's attempting to send a message of any kind. Yeah, but I hope this is suitably Christmassy for you. I'll have a little tidy up on the palette. Some of that was useful paint, but it's too late now. Yes, that went there. My dark went here. Oh, my shadow colours. These are all the paper colours. Yeah. Let's move them over. Make some more room for blues. Actually, no, that can stay. I completely lost track of time. How are we doing? I think I started around 7, didn't I? Oh, there you are. Nearly an hour. I'll do a bit of mixing, have a little break, and come back and get this finished off. So I was talking about getting some brighter colours going. I have to have a little visit to the special drawers. Now here I have some Rembrandt Cobalt Turquoise, and this is going to be rather special. Let's put that out there. That is a nice intense colour. They grind the pigment extra fine as well, which gives it this extra quality. This is another what's it called? It's so this Dutch company, Royal Talons. And they also make this the student version, which are Van Gogh oil paints. But again, decent pigments, not a lot of hues going on. They're usually like the proper thing. That's some real cobalt, but it's got a lower pigment load, but it's still got that super finely ground pigment. I won't do a compare and contrast, but yeah, it will behave slightly differently and allow me to turn the colour up a little bit. I've got my ultramarine. I was going to put out a little bit of alizarin crimson, just for the sake of being able to make a shocking purple. That's probably more than I needed. There's some on another palette. I could have just robbed it off there. Never mind, done that now. And one little visit. So you can't see me anymore, but I'm looking in the blue tray. One of the blue trays, of which there are several. How was it? Here we are. Right, so I've got some Rembrandt Cobalt Blue, just in case the Van Gogh one can't quite do it. Prussian Blue is tempting. Oh, I've got some Winsor & Newton Cobalt Blue as well. All the Cobalt Blues. Horribly expensive now. There's some permanent mauve, that might be useful. But it's more about the greeny blues. Now I have some rather exotic greens, but You know what? We're really spoilt with cyanine green. It's super intense and very effective. What's this? God, I can't even read that. There's another one I had. Yeah, phthalo turquoise. Could all be useful. Yeah. Bit of phthalo turquoise, bit of permanent mauve. I'll keep them to one side in case I need them. Let's see what the phthalo turquoise looks like. Pretty much exactly the same as the viridian hue. Yeah. It's probably the same pigment. Okay. So I need to do a bit of mixing. I had this dark, which I can see there. I could even take a little bit off this and put it on the palette and check it. I was talking about getting the maximum color down. Maybe I can try that now. Maybe if I just put a bit of pure cobalt on here and see what it does. Where the blue is the deepest. Oh, that's kind of it, actually. Yeah, it gives me this sort of edge. And because I want to work with a more fluid color, more fluid paint. The consistency. I got there in the end. Then the Rembrandt paints are pretty good for that. Get a bit of that extra blue in here. Where else can I turn it up? I think that might be pretty much it. There's a little bit on that corner. There's a little bit in here. Again, just sort of giving me those edges. I haven't got the lighter colour that goes on behind. So that's the next thing. So let's get some of this. No, I don't think I will use the cobalt for this. I'll gather that up again. Could always touch a bit in. Get a bit of titanium white. A little bit of this turquoise. Actually not super intense, but it's a good colour. Where's that at its maximum? Hard to tell. So I think I just need to put a bit on, see where it goes. Do I go with, well, you know what, there's some in there as well. Yeah. Little hints of it. Doesn't matter if I turn that up a little bit. Especially not if it mixes in. Okay. A little bit of that extra blue there. Give it a bit of an angle. Yeah. More underneath there as well. A little bit in here. It's leaning slightly. Yeah, that'll do. And what about in here? Oh, you know what? Let's just fill that up with it. Right, that's that done. Get some of this turquoise. Let's see if it works for this contrast here. I think it does. I think that's a pretty good guess. Which means I need to mix a darker, duller one, but that's okay. Hmm. Actually, I can do a lot of this just with this colour and then change it up as I go along later. Hmm. It's quite a nice sort of, quite a nice gooey paint to do this with as well. There'll be some lights that go in on top, but they'll be easy enough to find. Now, if I load that properly and do a few really deliberate marks exactly where I do know they're going to go, like there, like here. Where else can I find that? Make sure it's in there. It's in here. Well, that's pretty good. It's in that edge. It's in a few of these sorts of textures. Actually kind of in there as well. I think I've lost that shape somewhere along the line, but oh goodness, yes, I've sort of skipped a whole bit. Oh well, now I know I can kind of ignore that. It says, right, let's turn up the turquoise, stick a little bit of cobalt in it. And we're going to have a bit here. There we go. Bit of extra colour. So I'm just going to creep around that corner. A little bit in there. Quite a lot in there. And Macy thinks this car park outside is back. And I'm trying not to let it annoy me. Okay, extra colour. We're really going to turn up the colour here. And a bit of turquoise, a bit of cobalt. There's a bit here. So where the light's shining through, the colour is going to get really intense. Maybe it doesn't need to go too far, but yeah, make a slightly lighter one. So I'm starting to see now that actually I've made quite a bit of progress already with this. So I haven't even got the brighter versions on it yet, but they'll come. When they do, they should do an awful lot to finish explaining to the eye that this is a plastic bag. So I hope you're having the great pleasure at home watching a plastic bag appear. That's the idea of it. Okay, is this going to work? I know for a fact people watch this. I mean, I'm always surprised that that happens, but people will talk about it to me afterwards. So do just say hello if you're watching. Messages should come through, and I should be able to see them. Be nice to know if anyone's there, and if you have any interesting thoughts as well. Okay, I've just spotted some extra darks that I missed here, so I'm going to get a separate brush for the darks. On a smaller one, not a teeny tiny one, just smaller. And I'm going to go back in with this, maybe with a bit of oil now. I think I've don't have to worry about disrupting things too much. Yeah. Put that in there, and a couple of these darks in here. They're kind of getting the language of the bag now, which I like. Definitely some other lights to go in there. This can get paler. Okay, no, there's another dark that I haven't mixed. So there's two places to go from here. One is, actually I've still got enough here, I can use this. To get some of this colour which I mixed, pretty much the same. And then I'm going to add a bit of that yellow into it, just to lighten it up a bit. A bit of that, or maybe a bit of this. Okay. And this should do a subtle change. Over here. Yeah, there we go. Sort of flick up into these other shapes. Not very happy with that, but it's fairly baggish. A little bit on the top. No, that's not necessary just yet. There's some on here. That can actually get lighter as it goes along. The darker one, what's this? Oh yeah, here we are. That's a shape. That's a shape. Make an even slightly yellower one just next to it, just for marks like that. And this. Maybe this. Where else does it turn up? A little bit in there. Maybe a little bit down the front of that. That's good. Oh, and a few others. So in here, right. Actually surprisingly light in that space. But here. Again, now we're back to the deeper blues again now. That can lighten up a bit. So now I'm making small incremental changes, but I think it should work in the end. I'm going to go back to my previous blue. Get some more of that in here. Oh, and there's some really deep blues in there as well. Where's that? Here. Where else? A bit in there. Right. That'll do it. Still haven't got onto the very light lights yet. Oh, that's going. Let's have a bit of that in there. Okay, so I'm on the light brush. I'm going to get some of this colour. I'm going to mix it with a bit of this blue. And that's going to be for where this is kind of see-through. It's going to be there. Is that it? I think that might be it. There's sort of a little bit at the edge. And also where it reflects that kind of colour, so it can get a bit more pink down here. Go back to some of this paper background colour just to change that shape there. That'll do it. I might just go straight through and finish this now, actually. What else have I got? Got a lot more of this colour. Maybe that's my darker one to go behind here. Kind of is, actually. Yeah, that works well. I'll put a little bit of extra cobalt in there. This one's too green. And say that's going to go in here. Yeah, that's doing it. And in here, get these subtleties first in there. That's it. Some in here. Get some of those sort of stretchy streaks. Quite fun to do. Put a bit behind there. When the lights go on top, it'll make sense of it all. Oh yeah, it's just quite a lot. Not overdoing it. So it goes into here as well. What about there? Yeah, goes into that. Yes, this interesting kind of jigsaw of green shapes. I'm going to make a very cobalt blue here, just for it to go a few places where it really needs to get more intense. Yeah. Okay. So if I move on to this pink colour, and it makes a very bright purpley pink here. And chuck a load of white in it. Okay, there's a much brighter version of the one that goes next to it. Tonally, it's very similar to the background. So I'm going to see if that works. If I put it here, I believe it does. It will also go in here. And a little bit of a streak there. There'll be a little bit of that. Ah! Engine running, radio on. Great, right, that's like 2 meters from my window. Oh man. That's his actual life. And one who wants to make everyone else's worse as well. Oh, that makes sense in a weird way. Ah. Right. I have under here. So, oh, there's all my brushes. I put them there. Right. Not that I was short on brushes. They're sort of everywhere, but there was a particular set I'd cleaned. Right. Okay, this is interesting. I'm going to make a very, very bright version of this. Pop a little bit of yellow in there. The yellow's not going to be too strong. I'm going to start putting a few of these highlights in. I feel like that's too strong. Maybe I should start with the bright ones and work down. Ah, that's when you turned it off. Yeah, I think that's too much too soon. But maybe as it mixes in as it goes, I could put a few more of these highlights on here and let them mix in. To that bottom edge, a little bit on here, quite a bit in there. Yeah, at a certain point I'm going to start losing the contrasts that I need. Put a bit of that in. I think I could probably go for a few slightly different colours of highlight as well. So this is the bit where I'd got a bit confused, but I think we'll get away with it. There we are. Anything else? And that's pretty much that. So at this point, but there's danger of overworking it again. Now that's worked in a little bit. I can lighten up some of these little areas of highlight. Be very subtle. Oh yeah, there's some. So that's that thing of like being able to find my way around by eye and observation is quite important. Right, now what there is as well, which I didn't really take into account, is this colour here, which is going to mix on the surface, but it's this reflected light. Maybe that's enough of that. Maybe it needs to get brighter. Like a stronger colour, almost feels like it does. Maybe just a stronger colour around it. Okay, that's not doing anything. That's not doing anything useful for anybody. Go back to that. Put that in there. Let's do the same thing under here. Okay, the more I work on this now, the more it's going to blend on the surface. So I think I might be pretty close to a sort of a maximum. I've got that light. Last thing I'll do is do a few last really strongly coloured bits. There's still highlights, but it's really subtle changes in tone. It's mostly a change in colour. And again, I probably am over fiddling with it, but I quite like over fiddling with things. Sometimes it does improve it. Not always. Okay. I mean, that's pretty close. I'll go back into the darks again here. I mean, it's all a lot of subtlety going on here. Right, I'm going to get another brush. I'm going to put some of these greens in, and they should really bring it to life. There's a few places where it's very green. Oh yeah, oh, that's good. All right, there's some in there. This will give us a certain amount of kind of variety, if you like. Right, in here. Yes. But tonally it works. Yeah, I can't see enough going on up here, but let's pop a bit in there as well. Bit of extra green in here, in there. Yeah, that was never quite enough colour. In here, that'll do. Will it do? Sort of do. That needs to be darker. Make a darker version. Still be really green. There we are. Actually quite a lot of intense colour in a blue bag. Can you tell what's in the bag? That's the fun game that we haven't even got around to. What's in the bag? Shout it out. Could be all manner of things. Could be a jar of jelly beans. Or the skulls of your enemies. Really, almost anything. No, I'm getting fiddly now. If I can get just a few edges. Also, you're seeing all these forms that you never would have imagined beforehand, which are, you know, now kind of familiar. I must get the way that bit of plastic overlaps that other bit of plastic, because it's really interesting now. And of course, no one, you know, looking at it after the bag has gone, after the event, is going to say, oh, I feel like that bit of plastic would have looked a bit different. It's really just, well, partly the bag mystery. Okay, now we're getting into bag language here. And partly the plasticiness, which is inherently familiar to us all, and yet largely unstudied by any individual, however much they've used plastic bags. Well, it's not something you sit and stare at much, but like all things in life, it's worth consideration. I think that's probably done. So that's my mystery bag. Yeah, can you guess what's in it? And does it look like a gift you'd be delighted to receive? I'll give you a clue. It isn't really, but well, actually, it's quite a nice thing. It's a glass jug. Here, I'll give it away. I'm not one for keeping everyone in suspense. Yeah, that's better. Or is it more green than that? I think it's still turning up this colour. Yeah. Right, as is making as much sense as it's going to make, so I'm going to stop there. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope that's been a suitably festive blue corner shop bag for you to enjoy watching me paint. This will probably appear. I'm going to try and do an open studio of sorts or something like that in the new year. So this might be among it. You'd be pleased to know all the proceeds go directly to me and to cat food. But yeah, if you've always dreamed of having that picture of the blue plastic bag with the mystery object in it, finally all your dreams are coming true. There we go. So we'll do a little close-up look at that. I'll just change the camera over. And Hope that was entertaining. More mystery bags to come, I imagine, at some point. But let's have a little nose at this. There we are. So that's all my blues on the palette. They've all got rather confused, but you see how they wander from green to, you know, the purples. The other one's fairly simple, so not more going on than that. So from a distance, I think it's roughly where I was. So yeah, it looks a bit like a rabbit, doesn't it? This one. The last one looked a bit like a dog. There's all the little pieces up at the top and the handles. And yeah, it's been a lot of fun. And we'll see you next week. Graham will be back. Who knows what the subject matter will be, but I'm sure it'll be something seasonal. It's bound to be the case. I'll see you then. Good night.